Hello and welcome back to our Set the Table series here on Patreon. I'm your podcast host, Chloe, and I am joined today by Prathika and Aubry, who are contributors to our Issue VII Women and Love magazine series. We're super excited to have you both here to talk about Falling Out of Labels, which is the piece you both worked on. Prathika was the author, Aubry did the photo shoot, and it turned out really, really beautifully. So I can't wait to dive in and talk to you guys about what it was like to work on this piece. So let's start by having you guys introduce yourselves for our audience. We'll start with Prathika, if you want to tell them, who you are, what you're about, how you got involved with more.
I'm Prathika, and I am currently a sophomore in Indiana University. And I have worked with more before, and I felt like the experience was like super rewarding. And I decided to write this piece. I've never shared such a personal piece of writing before, and I decided to go for it this time.
Yeah, it's super awesome to be able to share personal stories like that. We always appreciate when people do share those stories because that's how our audience is able to really authentically connect with those pieces. They see themselves in it. And I know that you're a former contributor, so we're super happy to have you back. Aubry, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about how you got involved?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm Aubrey and I'm a photographer, well, freelance at the moment. And I kind of got involved with More Magazine. Well, I met Ariana at a networking event, and once we connected, I let her know, oh, I'm a photographer, and okay, yeah. After that, she's like, oh, I have this project coming up, and then that's how I kind of got into this, and yeah, I had a really good experience, of course, working with the team and everything. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad. It's awesome to be able to collaborate and tell these stories both in a visual way and for our audience to get to read them, and then also for our podcast so that they can listen to, a continuation of your stories. So, yeah, thank you both for joining us again. And I would love for you, Prathika, to talk a little bit about your piece, Falling Out of Labels. How did you decide to write it? What is it about? And what does it mean to you to be able to share the story?
For sure. So, when I asked Ariana what the theme for the upcoming issue was, she told me it was women in love. And initially, I was thinking of writing a feature article like I did last time. And I was thinking of featuring LGBTQ couples like around Indianapolis. And she was like, why don't you share your own experiences with love? I know like you write a lot of feature pieces, and I understand if you don't want to do that, but why don't you share like your own experiences? And I feel like this article was like so intimate to me. Like I've never shared all of these things to like I've definitely shared it with people I'm close to, but I've not never been like this um open about my personal experiences like out to the public before. So I feel like this like writing this piece really um set me free in a way like never before.
Yeah, I think it's really special to get to talk about your own personal experiences on a public platform like this because you talk to your friends about it and maybe your family, but to get on a stage like this, like the More platform, so that other women can feel empowered by your story is really awesome. And I think there's just not enough representation for asexuality out there. So to talk about it openly like that just gives people a chance to feel seen. So I love that. Um, Aubry, I would love to turn over to you and talk a little bit about the photos that are featured in this article because they are really beautiful and I think they tell a wonderful story showing Prathika herself and this, sense of an honesty and there's like a soft dewy light that really goes with like the feelings in the story. So I would love for you to talk about your guys' process and how the photo shoot was, like your experiences with that. And Prathika, feel free to chime in because they are pictures of you at the end of the day. Like you told your story and you got photographed, so I think that's a really powerful combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So kind of the first process was, I wanted to, of course, I read the whole article very thoroughly and thought a lot about, okay, what ways did in what ways did this article make me feel, and how else can I express what I think Prathika feels through this piece. So yeah, I kind of got some brainstorming. We got a whole vision board, what potential ideas, and then talked about outfits. So once we kind of had our framework, then we were able, of course, to build upon that once we arrived at the scene. And I really like the space that we did it. How Prathika mentioned it's very intimate. Well, I think with it was in someone's home and it was something very personal. So I thought also matches like the cozy kind of feeling, and just feeling comfortable in oneself. And then in terms of the lighting, I kind of experimented with that for a little bit. It was kind of the sunset, so we kind of had that warm and glow. But at the same time, it was a little towards like the end of the day, so not that much natural light, to be honest. So I did use some my extra photo equipment light, and just like on the dim part, like typically you use it for like the flash while you take a picture of the camera, so it usually really bright, but we use the really dim setting. So that was something kind of like pretty new to me. I've never shot in that light, and so that's kind of how that created that that soft lighting and the yellow warm tone. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about Prathika, how did you feel with the posing? Because we helped with that. I don't know if you want to speak more on how your experience went.